And now, it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. We are broadcasting live from the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. We are here for the Ultimate Sports Bash. You've been hearing about it on the station for quite some time. Well, the time is here, Ben, and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Tons of familiar faces, famous faces, maybe some unfamiliar faces, but professional athletes coming in. Got a full-court basketball court. They've got mini golf. They've got food. People are already starting to pour in. We've got celebrities sitting right in front of us.
Oh,
well, we've got a DJ, and he's wearing his sunglasses. So hold on a second here. I'm going to be
Oh, you're going to put your sunglasses on. Oh, man.
I love being sunglasses inside
funny.
guy.
You put your sunglasses on, and I feel way cooler now because you look so stupid.
She is back from Vegas. She is sitting across from us. She is hosting a panel, three panels? Four panels today. She is Michelle Bodkin, KSLSports.com, covers the Utes. What's up, Michelle? You're busy. You've got a big day.
Yeah, a big two days. Yeah, on top of the 2 days in Vegas.
Yeah,
so
it's been a busy week.
It's been quite the week.
It was quite hot.
It was very toasty, but you know what?
Hot.
I will take that kind of hot over Florida or like Texas hot any day of the week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like that. See, that's Michelle right there. While everybody's complaining about the heat, she's basically saying, like, suck it up. She's like, you could be in muggy Florida, so quick you're complaining. I like that about you, though. You know what I mean? Because all I did in Vegas was complain about the heat. We're, like, inside the whole time.
I was going to say we barely had to be outside.
You'd been there before for the Pac-12 Championship games to the Allegiant Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time.
Yeah, so I have some buddies that scout with the Raiders, and I was like, so I'm at your place again, and the response back was, you've officially visited this place way more than we have, and it's our team.
Right.
It was cool. I was really, it was my first time down there, too. I was very impressed. Easy to get in and out, which you worry about a little bit with Las Vegas, even though it's right across the freeway from the Strip, and they did a great job with it. If they do a similar job with the baseball, Vegas has really taken a giant leap forward with sports. There's no doubt. So it was cool. I thought, other than it being a tad disorganized, the Big 12 did it. You got everybody there.
Yeah.
So
more players, which was interesting. You got to talk to more than just two.
I thought it was
Absolutely.
Cool. If we were to set the scene here,
it's
kind of like if you've been to like FanX or Comic-Con, or if you've been to like the Hunting Expo, it's like that, but for sports fans. And Michelle, you're actually hosting 4 panels, you said, this weekend.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of what a panel is and what all, it's included in the admission?
Yep.
And people can get access to the panel and then autographs. They can meet everyone who's speaking. What panels are you hosting, and what do you expect from them?
Yeah, so today I am doing Utah gymnastics in about an hour. And then tomorrow I'm on with the 2004 team, just the regular
college football.
Yes.
Yeah.
2004 Utah Utes football team. Then the regular football team, they're going to have Cam Rising come and some of that stuff today. I'm not doing him, but they're having some other guys, kind of the more up-and-coming guys, coming tomorrow, and I'll be on that panel, and then I get to do the 2008 Utah football team. So it's going to be really, really fun.
Wow!
Yeah.
The two teams,
the two undefeated teams
in Utah, and full of, by the way, very interesting personalities.
Yes.
I covered both of those teams, and you're going to have some cool discussions. I hope you have just a list of gotcha questions. You really are just going to give it to
we're going to try. I haven't looked that far forward yet. I still need to work on those.
It's going to be like Deion Sanders at Media Day. Just hard hitting. No, I'm kidding, of course. No, it's so cool.
I hope it's better than Deion Sanders at Big 12.
Oh, man. Ben and I were talking about how disappointed we are in the profession after that. But,
just
whatever.
A bunch of word salad. Meant nothing. Sounded really great, and then when you thought about it, not very, I don't know. He said a whole lot of nothing.
We'll see if they win.
They won't.
I doubt it.
They will not be winning.
No. And somebody was asked, is it unfair to criticize? That was such a big job and all this. And, do you remember the beginning of last year when he was jumping out and saying, you can't ask a question you didn't believe? They win one game, and
I know.
he's playing the whole belief thing. And it's you kind of bring that on yourself. But Shedeur is good. So maybe they win some games. Maybe they win more than 4. But what's your takeaway from the Utes? What'd you make of Cam being aggressive about the rivalry?
I think that's just what you kind of expect and hope for. This rivalry has really not been quite the same as it had been, prior to BYU and Utah going their separate ways. And so to see players kind of have that heat and excitement about this game and being in the same conference again, I think that's what you want to see. If you're going to do this, you want it to kind of get back to where it was, right? You don't want it to be a meaningless rivalry. The hope is this will take off again and be kind of a showcase for the Big 12, I think, because obviously you are losing the Red River rivalry. Goodness, I got that out just okay. A bit of a tongue twister there, but I think that's the hope, is that this kind of replaces that and has that same kind of prominence. But when you've had over a decade kind of off and it hasn't had quite the same meaning, you just never know what you're going to get. So I think that fired up answer was exactly kind of the shot in the arm that hopefully this thing needs, and it will take off.
It's going to re-engage the young people in the rivalry, because a lot of them just have not experienced it every year of their life the way if you grew up in Utah, you just felt it every year. You knew it was coming.
They need to put it at the end of the year. Come on.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that the Red River rivalry actually was not at the end of the year.
Right.
So I think that was a very strategic move. It was their biggest rivalry, but it actually was not at the end of the year.
I don't know. This is just the nostalgia in me. And rivalry week at the end of the year used to be such a big thing. We'd do these theme days every single day. I mean, we'd farm up interviews from players from long ago, and it was this big giant thing that culminated in this either beautiful or icy game, the day after Thanksgiving or 2 days after Thanksgiving or whatever. It just fit, and it just made all the sense in the world. And I don't know, it bugged me when they moved it to begin with, and I get it. But now we asked Tom Holmoe about it, why they were doing it that, and he said, well, there's so many great rivalries in the Big 12, and they just wanted to do this then, and maybe it's early like the Red River shootout or whatever. But I was just like, no, they don't. They don't have a lot of great rivalries. Put their great rivalry at the end of the year. But rant over. That was
rant over.
That was.
I think the other one that there's going to be some hope that it kind of picks back up again is obviously the rivalries that TCU had with BYU and Utah.
Right.
Those games were starting to get really, really good when the Mountain West shifted and everybody left.
Those were great games.
They were great games. So I think there's also some hope that those pick up some steam as well.
Speaking of that 08 team, that game against TCU that year was
a classic.
Incredible.
Epic.
Yeah, one of the great finishes.
Actually, 2018 maybe was colder, but probably have never been colder in my life. That game was freezing.
Up in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that TCU game. Yes. The first blackout game ever.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think I torrented that game or watched it illegally on my parents' computer. If I remember. I was young.
Wasn't the north end zone flashing controversy a TCU game where Utah was getting drubbed at home by 40?
Yeah, that was 2010.
Yeah. Was game day there for that one?
Yes, they were.
And then they just got trounced.
And the really ugly blackout camo uniforms.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But that TCU team was
so good.
Was the best of Patterson's TCU teams.
Tank Carter, you have Andy Dalton, Jeremy Curley. I mean, they had some.
They were loaded.
Dudes. Yeah. That team was good.
That TCU team was awesome.
One rivalry you are forgetting that's a very famous Big 12 rivalry, is Clemson, Florida State.
Huge.
And that game's going to be scheduled in 2 years. We're going to get that game back in the Big 12, right?
What do you make of that rumor?
after kind of following conference realignment last year, and for 2 years in the lead up to, anything's possible at this point in time. Whether it makes sense to you or not, like, I think just about anything's on the table at this point in time. And so does it feel unlikely? Yes, but we said it was pretty unlikely that the Pac-12 wouldn't exist, and here we are.
Yeah, so, and that was 12 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, I really do. I think anything's on the table with conference realignment, and I just say buckle up and get prepared, because I don't think we're done getting wild here.
You know what's funny about it is, like, this isn't going to happen because the money doesn't work to do the buyout with the ACC. I mean, the Big 12 doesn't make enough to pay them what they need to make to get out, right? I mean, the Big 12 makes more than the ACC, but it's not that much more, right? So I don't think this is going to ever happen for that reason. But I'll tell you why I like it, though, is because Brett Yormark, what's that scene in the Batman movie with the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You? What
Joker? You're talking about the Joker?
Yeah. Where he goes like
who's the clown guy on that Batman movie?
But where he goes like
he's got all the jokes.
He goes
can't quite remember his name.
He goes, "You're a schemer," right? Or calls them "you're schemers" or whatever. Well, Brett, that guy is a schemer, and the way he ruined the Pac-12 was by hiring a PR firm and basically talking it into existence, and it worked. And the Pac-12 had to really make some bad moves for it to work, but it absolutely worked. And I think this is 100%. It's like how Ben Simmons got the Rookie of the Year. Like, I'm just going to talk it into I'm going to speak it into existence. So media day comes, and he lobs out a bunch of grenades. Kliavkov's words. He says, Florida State and Clemson, they're basically in. I had dinner with them at the Palms last night. Things got crazy. I got a verbal. I can't say it, but that's the thing. I think that's what's going on. I don't think it ever happens.
It's a vision board situation.
And you know what? The Tigers and the Seminoles probably are leveraging the Big Ten. And we know Florida State hates the SEC and vice versa. And so, Florida State going, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll go to a different league. We'll bring our value somewhere else. I mean, who knows? It's such dirty pool, though.
I mean, having followed that, it really was dirty. Yep. And I'm so glad that you brought up that they really kind of spoke that into existence, because a lot of what was being reported very early on was not actually happening based off of all the conversations I've had. That was not actually factually what was going on or what was going through some of these schools' heads. But you put that fear in them, and they start wondering, well, what's the guy next to me doing? And you get the whole thing to crumble, and I think that's basically what happened there. It's a very, very interesting case study, and I kind of can't wait for more of this stuff to start coming out as the years go on. It'll be interesting to see how much does come out, because honestly, Fox and ESPN have dirty hands in that.
Yep.
And it makes it kind of tough to get an accurate documentary when you have media companies involved that were part of the dirty works.
And with the new world where these venture capitalists are coming in and saying, well, we'll buy 20% of your conference. How much money do you need to get Florida State and Clemson? It's like, they can make the money work. It's not going to come from the TV deal, but there will be some investor from somewhere saying, how much you need? Because I own 15% of your conference, and professional sports, which is where college football is heading, are the best way to make money going forward. It's why everyone's investing in actual professional franchises. I'm not going to say the money's not there, because I don't know, because money seems to be coming from all over the place now that it didn't previously exist.
Agreed.
But it's funny, the Big 12's honest best defense is to blow apart these other conferences. Go first. It's the reason that they're still there is because we're going to put ourselves in a position where you're next.
Yeah.
Because they were next, and that's where they were next.
That's exactly it. I think if anybody was going to put money on which conference wasn't going to survive, it was the Big 12.
Right.
And yet here they are, still alive and kicking, and talking trash, no less.
It was Bob Bowlesby who did it, because he plugged the gaps. He threatened to sue ESPN, which was a bold move.
Yeah.
Bold move. And then handed at least a stable situation to Yormark, who then blew apart the Pac-12. I mean, it's a pretty scrappy story, honestly.
Yeah. And then the other part of this that we haven't talked about, which you and I have talked about a little bit, is this rumor that continues to exist out there, at least among Utah fans, that 2027 Big Ten's coming calling. And the thought is well, if they wanted Utah, they would have just brought him in the last time. Regardless, if that's even floating out there, Brett Yormark knows he can't afford to lose Utah. He can't now lose teams after gaining teams. So what do you do instead of just trying to hold on to what you have? You expand. You go get other reasons for teams to stick around and not listen to other offers because, like you said, this is just this is not settled by any means.
But you add Florida State, Utah is certainly expendable.
Yeah, fine. Great.
Yeah,
you add
Florida
State.
I was going to say, like, those rumors have a lot more teeth than I think people want to believe. I've confirmed that in several different places, and it actually was very, very close that Utah went to the Big Ten this go-around. Like I said, confirmed with 4 or 5 different sources. So it's an interesting situation. Again, anything's on the table.
Settled.
Nothing's settled.
Yeah.
Nothing's settled. Everything's on the table.
Which is just, I don't like it. I'm old, whatever.
It's a little exhausting. I think there is reason to kind of miss the good old days when the conferences made sense, right? Yeah. Geographically, they made sense. They don't make sense. Now, it might get to a point where they start making sense again because the Big Ten fills in and has like a West Coast branch and a Midwest branch and an East Coast branch. So it may kind of end up looking the way it used to regardless, but it's just going to be a very different format, right? It's going to be a lot more like a pro system.
I just like familiarization with the opponents and their fan bases, and here's the storylines, and you get to know the coaches when they stay more than 2 years, and which apparently never happens at least in the Pac-12. But we're now going to get used to, and we started last year with the Cougs, obviously. We're going to get used to this whole new set of fan bases and relationships and all that, and then it could be upended tomorrow. And I just give us, like the Pac-12 at least was a decade.
Yeah, can we have at least 10 years?
Yeah, a decade was pretty sweet.
At least 10 years.
The Pac-2 was saying, no, we don't want this for 10 years.
No, and BYU is coming off independence is going, please give us 10 years.
Yeah, right, give us 20.
You can't go back to being independence. Like, you can't go back to the West Coast Conference. After you pert near won the Big 12 last year, I mean, like, you know, BYU's, it's like we just need some consistency.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking for, a little consistency. So you're hosting a gymnastics thing. What I saw Michaela Skinner's in the news. What was that all about? She's like making controversy or something over the Olympic team, bagging on them or something.
I think I've talked to some people close to her. I think she just really misspoke, and basically said that the work ethic is very different. But as it was pointed out to me, she's used to a very abusive work ethic under the Carolis.
They were terrible. Both of them.
It's a different animal now, and she knows that situation was not good. She knows it was not good, but it presents and it looks a lot different to people that are so used to working under those conditions compared to what they're trying to do now, which is clean it up and still get the talent and the work ethic out, right? But do it in less mean and abusive and cruel ways.
Yeah, to summarize what she said is that coaches can't get on players anymore the way they used to because coaches are afraid of getting reported for abuse. Mm-hmm. And people thought she was siding with coaches who have crossed that line, and that's not what she was trying to say.
Here's my defense of her. And, I looked into it a little bit, and I hear all that. And but here's my defense of her, all right? Michelle, did you play a sport at Olympus when you unfortunately were a Titan?
No, I quit by then.
Well, you probably look back at a sport that you played, or Ben was a skater die bro and looks back at like skater, the next generation. Mm-hmm. I'd like to welcome Michaela to being an adult because every single adult looks at the next generation and goes, these softy kids don't even know what it's like. I mean, are you kidding me? I'd like to see them last 30 seconds with what I had to put up with. Like, you think it's 100. Ben's talking about the blacktop. The blacktop was even blacker in my day.
There was no skate park.
It was 108 wherever we went. You softy cakes.
You get to practice? How nice for you.
I just thought for Michaela's sake, like, welcome to being an adult. We all look at the next generation and be like, you guys are soft. You suck. That's every human that's ever existed right there who has that take, let alone a high-level athlete. Of course she's looking at it and be like, we had the Carolis. I'd like to see you last 30 seconds with either one of them.
Oh, man.
That's what I would have said if I were her. Don't back off. You just had a back in my day moment. Welcome to the club.
She did have a back in my day.
We're here. This is what we do. We're adults.
Gen Z kids.
What was your sport growing up?
I was primarily a soccer player, and I danced. I also did a little bit of competitive dance.
Like jazz? Like ballet?
Ballroom.
What are we talking about?
I did jazz and hip-hop.
All right.
And hip-hop.
Somewhere Michelle's looking back at a jazz class
we have
being
we have a wide open space in front of us, so when we go to break, you can show us your hip-hop moves.
I don't think anyone
lock
wants
and
to
pop
watch that.
Still.
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know if my knees can lock or
They can
well,
lock
actually,
and
they
pop.
might lock and pop, but not the way that we're thinking.
Michelle, it's so cool. You're doing these panels. You're so nice to jump on our show as always. It's great to see you.
Thanks
Keep
for
up the
everything
good
always,
work.
Michelle.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Always, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
All right, we'll have more coming up next from the Ultimate Sports Bash at the Mountain America Expo Center. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.